Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. We actually went our separate ways this weekend. Don't worry about it. We're getting back together, but we're recording videos in separate spaces. So she's going to be in some, I'm going to be in some for the next couple days. It's all cool. We're not divorced. Don't worry. Anyway, we're going to talk about stop killing games. We're going to dip in on this situation. You guys know the story probably if you're listening to this episode, that Ross Scott has been advocating for game publishers to make online games available offline after their end of life, I guess. And it kind of started last year. It didn't really blow up that big until recently, or more recently. And now there's like over 1 million and whatever signatures supporting him. And we had him getting into it with Pirate Software. And that made Pirate Software look really bad. It actually led to him leaving his company. I guess he has a joint venture with Ludwig or something. I can't keep track of all these YouTubers. I'm going to be honest. And now we have this European Union coming out and making a statement. Video Games Europe being like, yeah, we appreciate it, but they just like completely backhanded stop killing games. They're like, yeah, we appreciate you guys and your efforts, but it's not realistic. It's not realistic. It's going to increase our costs, and here's why. And yeah, so it doesn't sound like they're going to take it seriously. At that point, if gamers are supporting this cause and the the Video Games Europe Union Trade Association isn't supporting stop killing games, then I would look at some of their members and be like, you know what? Then we're not going to play your games. We're not going to buy your stuff, because you're going to kill it, right? So I don't know. Just saying. You do you, boo. Whatever you want to do. But yeah, it's going to escalate for sure. So let's talk about this. Let's try to make sense of everything going on. I haven't talked about it in a couple of days. I know some people were covering like the daily blow by blow. But it's basically video game companies, corporate video game studios not wanting to continue supporting games after they've served their purpose, which is to shake you, the consumer, down for as much money as possible. And then they have the right to just pull the plug. And the thing is this always online, right? The fact that you don't own your games, all this stuff is bled out into single player games. Very seldom can you buy a game now and the game is completely offline, 100%. Atari's doing it. They're still making 7,800 games. Did you know that? They're still making 7,800 and 2,600 games. You just buy the cartridge, pop it into the console, turn it on, it plays. It's never online. I like that. But yeah, Nintendo even, like, they've got these virtual cards or whatever. So when you buy a physical release, it still has to check with Nintendo to make sure you're legally allowed to play it. And I don't like that, because they can literally lock you out of your console. You don't actually own the console or own the games anymore. And it's a huge problem. It's more obvious with, MMOs, because you're always online with those. But again, if action isn't taken now, I personally think it's going to extend to your single player games as well. In fact, some companies, I think Ubisoft is one of them, if I remember correctly, they're basically saying that if you violate their terms of service, they have the right to just like yank your entire game library. Again, so much easier when we bought the cartridge or bought the CD, put it in the machine that we owned. Nobody could take it from us. Nobody could brick our PlayStation 1 remotely. They have like the way that we were playing the game or whatever. It's just a very weird time to be a gamer. And I think this is why a lot of younger players, especially, are going back to older games. It's not just the cost. It's not just the quality. It's not just the wokeness. It's also this bullshit, this predatory bullshit. Again, paying through the nose for something you will never own. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you want more news, views, and rants that you do not get here on YouTube, go out to news.clownfishtv.com. We got some exclusive podcasts out there if you're willing to kick over $5 a month. There you go. So thank you so much for the support. All right, so let's read the statement here first. This was dropped on July 5th from the Video Games Europe Trade Association. We appreciate the passion of our community. However, the decision to discontinue online services is multifaceted, never taken lightly, and must be an option for companies when an online experience is no longer commercially viable. They're just like totally patting you on the head. We understand that it can be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that players are given fair notice of the prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws. Private servers are not always a viable alternative option for players, as the protections we put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist and would leave rights holders liable. In addition, many titles are designed from the ground up to be online only. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create. You don't want your games to cost $90 to $100 to you. So shut up. We welcome the opportunity to discuss our position with policymakers and those who have led the European Citizens Initiative in the coming months. Yeah. So Cursed Farms responded, and you can go out and watch his video. It's kind of blowing up the internet right now. But he said, if anyone doubts how powerful the EU initiative can be, Video Games Europe, an industry lobbying group, has unsurprisingly come out against SKG, that'd be Stop Killing Games. The arguments against allowing you to keep your purchase are flimsy. I'll have a video on it in a day or two. So this is coming from Polygon. They kind of encapsulated what he said. Let's see if they did it justice. This is the ultimate rebuke of studios killing their online games. Yeah, if you're investing in games preservation, it's well worth taking the time to watch again. Go out to Accursed Farms YouTube. Check it out. Stop Killing Games movement began last year after Ubisoft shut down servers for The Crew, rendering the game no longer playable. Again, it's not just online games, not just MMOs. It's pretty much everything now. They decide they're done with that game. They've made as much profit as possible. They just turn it off, and then they expect you to go buy another $80 game, $100 game. The movement's grown since, with the European Citizens Initiative recently crossing the threshold of 1 million signatures, the minimum amount required for it to get a response from the European Commission. Now, there is some debate as to whether or not they're all legit. Last time I checked, a couple 100,000 of them may not have been legitimate. I don't know. I haven't been following this as closely as some people, so I'm not sure if they've proven or disproven those as being fake. The Stop Killing Games movement seeks to prevent the remote disabling of video games by the publishers before providing reasonable means to continue functioning of said video games without the involvement from the side of the publisher. Again, I love that some of the games I used to play back in the day, most notably Ultima Online, like I've got so many hours, so many hours of my life were dedicated to Ultima Online. I played it every day for years. But I'm so happy that they have private shards now. I'm so happy that you can still play that game. And I didn't even know until recently you could still play that game, because I just assumed, because everybody else is doing it, that when they're done with the game, they wipe their ass with your characters and that's it. But no, it's still out there. You can still play Ultima Online. And I am resisting the temptation to join a shard because, my God, I love that game so much. I do. Essentially, it wants to prevent future games from being killed without offline modes, like how Anthem will no longer be playable. Yeah. So as this is going on, EA announces they're going to shut down Anthem. And as of January, it's over. Video Games Europe, a lobbying group in the EU, recently responded to the moment in the exact way you'd expect, with bad faith arguments and corporate shilling. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create. The group has also published a 5-page paper detailing its position on why it's okay to deprive players of games they purchased. It's not okay. I don't think it's okay. If it's a shitty mobile app, that's one thing. But like I said before in a previous video, if you're dropping $50, $60, $70 for a game, or you've got thousands of dollars tied up in, skins and DLC and whatever, loot boxes, like I think there needs to be a way to play that offline. Scott published a video on Monday breaking down, rebuking the lobby group's bad faith argument. They're ideologically opposed to us being able to retain our games. Yeah, they don't want you to. They don't want you to. These publishers do not want you to be able to own your games. They want games to be a subscription service. Everything, even the single player games. Because if you buy a game once, God forbid you're still playing that same game in 20 years without paying them again. Right? You got to pay them again. You want to play that old Zelda game? Well, you got to pay us again to do that. You got to subscribe to our online service to be able to play those games because we don't have physical copies anymore. Oh, you don't like that? You're going to complain about it? We'll just shut your machine off remotely. Pay pig. Scott published a video on Monday rebuking the lobby group's bad faith argument. Again, this comes from Polygon. Polygon's actually getting its shit together. Like, wow, maybe times are really tough. They're ideologically opposed to us being able to own our games. The industry ensures that players are given fair notice. Well, the video game Europe statement says the industry ensures that players are given fair notice of the prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws, argues this is a legal gray area, and that less than 4 months notice that Ubisoft gave the crew may not be legal. As the Stop Killing Games movement is forward-focused, it looks to ensure future games are preserved. Yeah, that's the purpose of this, is to make sure that these games are preserved. I think publishers need to have an exit strategy. Like, realize when you make this $300 million AAA title, it's probably not going to be Fortnite. It's probably going to have a shelf life. So what happens when you decide to pull the plug? And I think if people paid for the game, they should be allowed to play the game. They should be able to host their own little private server or something. If they want the expense and the headache and the hassle of doing it, then let them do it. You just be like, hey, you can't monetize. You can't charge people for it, whatever. They can donate, I guess, if they want to, help cover the hosting costs. But yeah, they need to build this into the game. What is the end of life scenario for this game? What happens to it if you decide you want to end official support for it? Scott takes issue with Video Game Europe's statement of private servers are not always a viable alternative option, arguing that it's unreasonable and obtuse to say future games can't be developed with private servers for a game's end of life stage. I agree 100% with that. I do. And I understand. I mean, I get what they're saying. They're like, we have a lot of user data or whatever that we have to contend with. But I think it might be a case of like, let the user decide if they want to download, if they could download their data and re-upload it to a private server, then that's on them, right? That's on them. Give them a couple of months, be like, hey, we're going to end official support for this. Go find a private server. If you want to bring your character over to the private server, if you're allowed to, download all your data, re-upload it to the private server, then we don't have to be involved in it, really. And that's how you handle it. Just make it, and that's on them. If somebody gets their information or whatever, and you don't know who you're dealing with, the hosting company for the private server, that's on them. Just say, hey, you realize, put a little notice up. You realize if you're downloading this data and you're going to go to a private server, we're washing our hands. You just don't put the credit card information in there, or social securities or any of that junk, but just be like, we're washing our hands of it. So you're taking a risk, and that's fine. Some people will take the risk. They don't have an issue with it. Let them make the decision, though. He offers a suggestion for how end-user license agreements, EULAs, can be amended to ensure publishers aren't liable. Oh, there we go. Aren't liable for any issues that arise from players continuing to use a game once the publisher has ended support. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Just be like, you know what? You do you, boo. If you want to continue playing this game, we've ended official support. If the servers fuck up your computer or you get your personal data stolen, it's not our problem. And just put a message up when they migrate their character over or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, though, the fact that they're actually getting a lobbying group involved now, because they don't, again, they don't want you playing old games. They want you playing whatever the newest thing is. Ideally, all these studios, because they're all hurt, especially now because they're all cash strapped, they're all hurting. They want you to subscribe forever. They think every video game needs to be like a Netflix subscription. They're looking at Fortnite, which is an anomaly. They're looking at Roblox, and they're being like, oh, these are moneymakers every month after month after month after month, right? That needs to be us. That needs to be every game. That needs to be this shitty-ass FPS we put out last year, nobody's playing. That thing needs to make, millions of dollars a month. And they're not going to accept anything less. But what's going to happen is people are going to reject these new titles, and they already are. This is why we're seeing partly why we're seeing all these layoffs in the video game industry. So just keep pushing it, and gamers will push back. hard. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Gamers don't mess around. They will push back. And good luck with that. Good luck with that. At your next quarterly earnings call there, Microsoft, how many more people are you going to have to lay off? Ubisoft, how many more people are you going to have to lay off? I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.